7, that's fine too. But I think pushing him much more than that would be kind of difficult.
Sweeney and Eric, doesn't matter.
You have a move for Chapman?
Yeah, Johnny Barbado. We decided to send Johnny down. Johnny did a really good job early for us, and we believe that the upside on Johnny is really, really big. He got, we struggled his last few outings a little bit, and with younger players, most of us always get sent down and then end up coming back and figuring some things out. So he's 23 years old. It gives him time just to get his stuff back on track a little bit, and we believe that he's going to help us a lot this year. Well, his slider kind of got away from him a little bit. And I think for young kids at times when you struggle a little bit, things can speed up a little bit, and you always got to remember who you are and what your stuff is, and it's not easy when you're that young coming up here. So, again, I'm going to say I thought he did a really good job, and I think he's made great strides, and I think he's really going to add to this bullpen in the future.
And Pinder was moved to the 60-day DL for the 40-man move, for everyone counting. Eric?
Joe Chapman for the last month has faced, basically 19, 20-year-old kids down in extended spring games and inter-squad games. Is there any concern about throwing him right into the fire against major league hitters?
I think if he was 19, 20 years old, I'd probably worry about it more. But because he's pretty experienced as a closer, I feel pretty good about it. Now, is there a situation that, we might pitch him tonight no matter what? Maybe. I mean, it's something I'll think about just because he's had a couple of days off. But I feel pretty good about sending him out there.
George?
Is there a possibility Ellsbury can play tomorrow? Or if
he's actually doing some I think he's doing some jogging on the treadmill. Our goal is to have him take some BP or some swings in the cage and maybe run on the field. So I don't think tomorrow would be the day, but hopefully short after that.
Tyler?
Joe, I know bringing Chapman in here wasn't necessarily a copycat thing of the Royals, but it is sort of, similar in the sense that they had 3 great relievers the last few years and used them to great effect. When you watch the Royals do their thing in the postseason, do you think that's something that can work here, and just how helpful is that to a team?
Well,
that team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was really important to them, but I'm going to say it what I've said up for a long time. I came here in '96. We had a shutdown bullpen. We had a shutdown bullpen in '97, '98, '99, and it just continued. I think the Royals had 3 different guys that threw really hard. But you think about the bullpens that have been here, they have been shutdown bullpens and contributed a lot to success. So I think you can put a bullpen together anywhere, whether it was Nelson, Mariano, and Wetland, or you want to go back to Dibble, Charlton, and Myers. This has been going on for a while, and when you get 3 or 4 guys that have the capability of doing this, it can really make a difference during the course of a season and during the playoffs. So I think we relied on our bullpen a lot during the years that we've won here.
In the middle, Joe.
Joe, to that end, with Chapman's return, how much does it change the composition of what you're using your whole pitching staff for? Not just the bullpen, but easing the burden on the starting staff as well with three of those arms.
Well, they still need to do their job because I can't throw our bullpen 5 innings every night. Physically, they won't make it. So they still need to do their job. I think what it allows you to do is hopefully you have at least one of them every day, which would be important. Bless you.
Bless. I'm sorry, Billy. Yep, in the back.
Yeah. So on a given day, if you have Betances, Miller, and Chapman available, do you anticipate him kind of using them in that order, or might I guess specifically with?
Just let me talk to them first and just watch how it happens. I think you let it play out. There is no steadfast order. There is no exact science to how I'm going to do it. I will look at who's coming up in the lineup and make decisions.
Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Bruce.
Joe, at the back end of the bullpen set, can you talk a little bit about the challenge now of getting the lead and being able to use this strength?
Well, I think that's really important, for us to play with the lead. And I thought it was important last year. I thought it was, when we got the lead and we were able to set up our bullpen, it was usually pretty much of a lockdown for us. So getting that lead is really important.
Mark, the front row.
Joe, when you get injuries to guys like Alex and CC, you look at their age and you say, not surprising they have something like this during the course of a season. But when you start seeing guys like Ellsbury and Castro tweak things, does it feel like things start mounting up on you injury-wise?
Well, I mean, you start to worry about your depth a little bit when they start to mount. I don't believe Castro's going to be too long. Hopefully Els isn't. But it's something that you have to deal with every year. The guys get nicked up, and you got to give them a day here, you got to give them a day here, there, and hopefully it's not multiple days is what you hope. But I mean, it can add up, and we've seen it add up in the past.
Right here.
Joe, given Chapman's an all-star and he's about to make his debut with the Yankees and all of that, but what he's been alleged of in the suspension that he has, have you thought about how he might be received and the reception he might get here?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be different everywhere he goes. And we're not really going to know exactly what it's going to be until we go through it. None of us do. So we will be there for him. We will do what we can for him. But I'm sure it's going to be different every place we go.
Jared.
Knowing that you have the ability now to really shorten games if you wanted to, if everyone was available, how does that change maybe how the starting pitchers approach the game in terms of their aggressiveness early in games to try to use all their stuff early, knowing they may not need to go 7 to win?
Well, I don't think we have a staff that really saves anything. I don't. I think that was more in the past. I don't see pitchers do that as much as they used to. I mean, there was a time where pitchers would try to get through a lineup maybe using 1 or 2 pitches. It doesn't necessarily happen as much. I don't see that as much. So I don't want them to use that. For me, go out and get us outs and get as many outs as you can, and when we think that it's time to make a move, we'll make a move.
Mike, to your right, Joe.
Joe, you referenced the 96 team and that bullpen. Do you recall early in that season, when Mariano maybe first started to assert himself and when you started to realize these are essentially 6 innings games, but we can just get there? I mean, was there a moment of clarity when you remember saying, we got to really have something special here?
I don't remember the exact date, but I remember thinking that as a player, that it was always a 6-inning game. And if we got the lead, we were in really good shape. I can't tell you exactly what the day was. Mo he didn't come in 1996, and he wasn't necessarily our 8th inning guy. He developed and really added so much to that bullpen that it allowed us to use guys different ways. And he was a shutdown, 6th, 7th, and 8th guy at times.
Andrew.
2 questions. This first one, when you manage players, do you kind of know their history in terms of how they handle injuries?
Yeah, you have an idea how it's what they've been through, their injury history, yes.
And then a guy like Ellsbury, some guys like how does he go about coming back? Does he like to be 100%? Does he, come back earlier?
No, I think he tries to get back as soon as he can. And sometimes as a manager, a guy may say, I'm 90%, I'm ready to go, and you might say, I'm going to give you 1 more day. That sort of thing. If you're 90, maybe you'll be 95 tomorrow, that sort of thing. But, his injuries have been, some of them have been fairly, substantial injuries. The knee, the ribs, they just haven't necessarily always just been a nick here and a nick there.
All the way in the back, Joe.
Joe, I know there are a lot of unknowns in how you'll use Chapman at the beginning, but as a manager, how much are you looking forward to now having him as an option and really seeing how great this bullpen could be?
Well, I think every manager always loves having his whole team together. We haven't had our whole bullpen. We've had, all of our position players here. Now those guys are kind of nicked up, and we're getting our bullpen back. But it's what you want. You want to keep them together as much as you can because the more options you have, I think the better chance you have of winning every night.
We'll finish it off here with Barry.
Joe, is there a chance that you will at times still use Miller to close in this combination of relievers that you've got, or
Well, if I use Chapman 16 days in a row, I probably wouldn't use him the 17th.
so that would be a yes on that?
Yes.
On the 17th day. And then since Miller's the one who's been displaced, have you had conversations with him
All those things
specifically?
all those things will take place.